Is your fear of public speaking limiting your success? Would you like to have a proven system with no BS that'll actually show you step by step how to finally crush your stage fright once and for all, so that you can speak confidently and be seen as the leader in your industry? If you answered yes, keep watching. You already know, whether you're an actor, a lawyer, a doctor, a CEO, a politician, or an entertainer, that the ability to stand on stage and speak confidently and effectively is mandatory if you want to continue to accelerate in your career. When you watch this video to the end, I'm going to show you a way that you can turn your stage fright, you can turn that anxiety into powerful, positive emotion that'll make you actually enjoy and even love speaking on stages. My name's Chad Chesmark, and for the past 17 years, I've made a living as a motivational speaker, entertainer, hypnotist, and magician on stages, and I love every second of it. But it wasn't always that way. When I started out, I was just like you. I used to suffer from the worst stage fright you can imagine. Every time I knew that I was about to go on stage, my hands would start to shake, my palms would sweat, my voice would crack, and I would just feel sick to my stomach. But I found a way to turn that negative emotion into powerful, positive energy, and I'm going to teach you how to do it. You see, for as long as I can remember, I actually wanted to be the guy up on stage speaking. But every time I tried to do it, I would just freeze. But that dream of being that guy on the stage never went away. So I had to find a way to deal with that fear. I tried everything, and no matter what I did, the audience could always see the fear inside of me, and I felt terrible anyway. I would be standing there holding the microphone, and you could visibly see it vibrating in my hand like this. It was embarrassing. I was getting more and more disgusted with myself. You see, at the time, I had just quit my 9-to-5 job in order to pursue my dream of being a public speaker. But I was so stuck grappling with this anxiety, and I just couldn't seem to get rid of it. And I needed to find a way to deal with that fear, and I needed to do it quickly. I went to several auditions to be hired as an entertainer, and I blew them. And the thing is, I needed to get hired because I had just quit my job. But every time I'd get on stage, they could just sense that fear, and that just shouted out, "Amateur hour," so I didn't get hired. So I couldn't even pay my car bill, let alone my mortgage. So I needed to find something that would let me conquer this fear. And I needed to do it quickly. I didn't have time. So I started to seek out the advice of other people. So I went to comedians, actors, entertainers, anybody who spoke confidently, and I asked why they're not afraid to speak in public. And here's the crazy thing. Every single one of them said that they actually are afraid. So that was kind of good news, because I knew it wasn't me. I knew I wasn't the only one, with this terrible fear inside. But the problem was, when I asked them to teach me how to do it, none of them knew how they did it. For them, they just kept at it for year after year after year until finally they felt comfortable in a natural sequence. But I didn't have years. I needed to do this quickly. So what I started to do was go online and find every book, every article, every blog, every video that talked about dealing with stage fright. And I started trying all the simple things: deep breathing, relaxing. I even did the one where they tell you to imagine that the audience is naked. And I'll tell you what, that does not work, at least not for me. That made me even more nervous, because the last thing I want to do when I'm speaking is have a room full of naked people. That's just weird. I also tried doing deep breathing, and that does help a little bit, but it didn't help me enough. I was still obviously scared to speak on stage. You see, the problem was, most of the information I was getting, most of these books that I was reading, weren't written by people who speak in the way that I wanted to speak. These books were written by psychologists. I'm nothing against psychologists. I love psychologists. But here's the thing. They were speaking from textbook. It wasn't from real world experience. I needed to learn from somebody who actually had been there and done that. Someone who stood on stage and delivered powerful presentations. And these speaking gurus just weren't those people. Eventually, I did some other things. I took an improv class, and that actually did help. And I highly recommend, if you're watching this video, that you sign up today for an improv class. And that just gives you a lot more confidence just being in front of people. But it wasn't enough for me. I was still I would be fine in the improv class, but when I had to get in front of an audience and do my own speech, the fear was still there. Sure, it was a little bit less, but not enough. Then I went the extra step and I tried drinking alcohol before I went on stage. That does work, but here's the problem. I wanted to become a motivational speaker, and I didn't want to be known as the drunk motivational speaker because you probably wouldn't book a lot of gigs that way. So that had to go. So I had to find another way to deal with this. Finally, I decided to change my entire outlook on speaking. You see, I was looking at speaking as something that I had to do, rather than thinking of it as something as I get to do. That simple little shift in your mindset can change everything. In other words, I decided to actually embrace my stage fright instead of fighting it. You see, when you get stage fright, you get filled with all this negative, nasty emotion that makes you feel terrible. It's the fight, flight, or freeze response. But here's the thing, if you know how, you can take that exact same energy, that anxiety, and just switch it and turn it into excitement. And when you come on stage with excitement instead of with fear, that's when you feel comfortable. That's when you use that energy to your advantage. And over the years, I've figured out systematically ways to make sure I reach that level faster. Once I made a conscious decision to actually embrace my stage fright and to use it to my advantage, everything changed. And it's going to change for you too as soon as I teach you these techniques. Over the past 17 years, I figured out ways to actually, literally, reprogram my mind so that I get excited to speak rather than nervous to speak. I became so obsessed with being able to flick that switch on command so that I could do it night after night that I started finding ways to streamline it. Once I finally changed my outlook on speaking, I spent the past 17 years fine-tuning the ways to transform that nervous energy into positive excitement so that every single time I step on stage, I feel great and I love speaking. Just like you're gonna love speaking as soon as you learn these techniques. By learning to speak confidently, you will be able to be seen as the leader in your field. You will be able to perform, persuade, and entertain on the drop of a dime every time. Whether you're speaking at a conference, a board meeting, or even at a networking event, you'll be able to get this positive energy flowing from the stage that will become contagious to your audience so that they are raised up to your level and they have a wonderful experience by listening to what you have to share. You will be able to get your message out to the world in an effective and engaging way, and you're going to love doing it. That's why I decided to write the Crush Stage Fright book. This book contains everything that I've learned over the past 17 years. Why did I write this book? So that you don't have to spend the next 17 years like I did, learning them one little bit at a time. This 40-page book has everything that I've learned. Not everything, actually. I've only included the things that actually work for me, and they've worked for thousands of others. You're going to be able to step on any stage at any time and be confident, effective, and great. My Crush Stage Fright book is going to make rocking that stage, that podium, or that courtroom so much easier for you. In fact, here's just some of the things you're going to learn in Crush Stage Fright. How to speak confidently on any stage, even if you have stage fright. How to easily memorize any speech. How to get the audience on your side from the get-go. Pre-speech rituals to get your mind and your body into the speaking zone. How to act like a professional once you're on stage. How to finally stop your hands from shaking. How to stop your voice from cracking so that you can sound clear, confident, and smooth. Proper microphone techniques, and much, much more. Look, it's time to get rid of your stage fright once and for all so that you can take control of your success, so that you can take control of your future. It's time to learn how to speak with confidence so that you can get your message out to the world in a powerful and effective way. It's time to stop dreading speaking opportunities so that you can get your message out to the world with powerful confidence. And it's time to be seen as the expert in your field so that you can expand your brand exponentially. Also, when you purchase the Crush Stage Fright ebook, I'm going to throw in 3 free bonuses. The first bonus, I'm going to throw in the Crush Stage Fright Quick Start Guide. so that you can jump into that speech that you have coming up next week at a networking event, board meeting, or whatever it is. You can get started right away. The second is my speech writing template, so that you can create powerful presentations that are effective and you can do it fast. And the third bonus is the Crush Stage Fright Mind Map, so that you can get a bird's eye view of the important parts of the entire book. So click the order button now so that you can start crushing your stage fright and own the stage today. My name's Chad Chesmark, and I'll see you on stage. So long.